warm welcome to you all. Hey, thanks for joining me, guys. This is the July Collective Conscious Psi reading for global predictions around the world. We will be using the Psi deck as well as a couple of cards from the traditional tarot just as background energies to sort of tap into an extra source, I guess, of the divination process. So let's see what's in store globally, or what collective conscious energies are focusing on and connecting with for July 2018. Okay. The World upside down and the Seven of Pentacles upside down. And I did notice in the deck that we had almost a 50% up and down reversal of cards, or them being the right way up as well, and I pondered that we might get reversals, which usually just mean there are a few glitches around the place. And I think most astrologers are predicting a fairly tense time for July and moving into August, possibly because of the eclipses that are coming and the planetary alignments that are currently going on around all of these. So let's shuffle these with the intent for July for 2018. What would the Psi cards like to add to this picture? Okay, we can move those over there. Ooh, the puzzle. Well, we know that doesn't come out very often, very seldom, so the Father, I thought he might turn up as well, and the Sage. Ooh, Death. The Moon, that makes sense for all of us, and the Cave. Well, where do we start? Okay, so they're kind of a gloomy looking palette. There's not a lot of brightness in the Psi cards in particular. There's a lot of muted colour going on there. So pretty dark and suggestive perhaps of night, especially these three down here that are illuminated by the moon. Two of them are, I suspect that's the light of the moon, and two of them are definitely at night. This one may be at night with perhaps something like a moon shining through the entrance to the cave, or it could be during the day. So it's quite, I imagine there's actually quite a lot going on behind this reading, and if we took the time to sit back and analyse it and sort of pull it to pieces, we'd probably find quite a lot of information. So I like to let you all do that as viewers as well, and add your comments that you feel appropriate, and I love reading them all too, so I think it helps to broaden the perspective to have other people's ideas and comments, and you know, to articulate the whole process here of the readings. So the World card reversed, we tend to think of it as being like maybe a disruption. Now the World card often represents the ending of a project or an era in life, so the possibilities of moving on with acclaim and understanding and awareness, and the ability to have risen above and beyond what we have previously been through or learnt. It can also mean world travel one way or another, and it can mean the interpretation of friends coming together and forming new alliances and friendships. So because this is reversed, it could have a tendency to represent exactly the opposite of what we have talked about. So there's a possibility here that something that should be fruitfully coming to an end or moving on to a new chapter or level of awareness is being blocked somehow. And there's a possibility that this is at a global level, and that the people involved are not allies as they once were. So there's this feeling of falling away of friendships or allies, if you like, and that there is trouble or communication in gaining cohesiveness within dealings or partnerships or movement or travel. This could be relating to political arenas around the world, or countries that have been communicating or coming together. So it's a feeling of that final journey, or traversing the final part of a journey, or something that we have been acquiring or coming to a point of is stuck or comes to a reversal or is dislodged somehow, possibly. Another dynamic of the world reversed could be associated with the puzzle card. If we think of the world as being the planet, it's almost like the planet is topsy-turvy or upside down or in some sort of reversal itself. That could fit quite snugly with this energies of the puzzle, and given the puzzle card is also on the side as opposed to that way, it feels as though that is also not in its correct mode or upside down or reversed as well. So there's a whole lot of different analogies or connections we can make between the cards, but I think perhaps the world and the puzzle card are somehow united, and the fact that things are upside down or reversed or running backwards, and it could be to do with the planet itself as well, not just the people on the planet or the systems on the planet. And with the Seven of Pentacles, with the finances, again, that would give you a little bit of a feeling that there's a financial destabilization somehow, or a glitch or a stalling of something. Those gold coins are literally hanging in the air. So one could have interpreted that as meaning, do they rise? Does gold rise unexpectedly and go up in the air? That's a possibility to think of as well. But it could be that finances all around are either up in the air unexpectedly, doing unusual things, behaving in an unusual manner, not grounded. Possibly that they have periods of being up and down for no logical reason, as if there's a global mass panic over something. You know, when share markets plummet overnight, it's often just because of public reaction. It's not because of the real nature of whether a business is failing or succeeding. So there could be some conjecture like that going on throughout the July as well. We come to the first of the side cards over here, and we see the puzzle card, and it's an odd card anyhow because it's written with the word down the bottom upright, but the card itself is the only one in the deck that you should be viewing on the landscape, not the portrait perspective. So that in itself creates a puzzle and a conundrum. It's a very odd card. Some people have pointed out before that this figure in the middle does look like a royal figure. So possibly this refers to royalty throughout the world, and it doesn't just have to mean British royalty, but it could be along those lines. The two doors are entrapped in what appears to be a forest, like a dark forest. So it's kind of hidden agenda stuff going on behind scenes that we're not privy to. Whether these are political scenes or royal scenes that govern countries or have a degree of dictatorship, I'm not sure. There's also what appear to be trees or leaves on the ground, and I often say they could be maple leaves, which always makes me think of Canada. However, the card itself has a far more in-depth reaching, I believe, than just those type of scenarios. My understanding of it is that it takes us out into the unknown, literally, and that means not just the space that I'm going to talk about briefly, but the unknown of many agendas, hidden agendas, possibly space type related agendas, and things coming to and from and around us to do with space. I've seen this card turn up when we've had issues to do with shuttles, space shuttles, rockets going up, as well as new information coming about our galaxy around us, and even about the origins and the knowings and the workings of the universe. So the puzzle seems to be one of those cards that, like the branches on the top of the tree, they extend outwards so far. It's almost as if it gives us the opportunity to understand the very innate workings of life at a little bit of a deeper level. So all your thoughts on the puzzle are welcome, but when it does turn up, something usually quite profound happens, and it can be about changing our understanding on how we are moving forward at many different levels. And I have found it to sometimes relate with space indeed. And we actually have quite a few cards in here that are relating to space objects. This whole line up here could be referencing that. We see the Father card for the next one. It's a card of military action, so it always points to increased awareness or activity in that realm, either military hand-to-hand combating or terrorist activity in particular. It also points to us looking at the skies. He is pointing at an object, possibly. So sometimes this is things like eclipses, asteroids, and there are a lot of asteroids in. There is one in at the moment that's visible to the naked eye, and the last time it was here was 2011, interestingly enough. The asteroid's name is Vesta. There are lots of others around at the moment as well, but asteroids create a lot of movement and change within us and within our galactic space area. So when they're around, and depending on what they are interacting with, can really make big changes in situations that crop up for us, our feelings, emotions, physicality, and for the planet itself. So there's a lot that he could be pointing to in the sky. There's the possibility of things like sun-diving comets, unusual sun activity. Even though we are in a solar minimum at the moment, we can still expect various sunspot anomalies and activations to occur. There could be things coming from space, such as satellites or something along those lines as well, that we're keeping an eye on or tracking. Things coming from space. Hello, Enzo. There could be also issues to do with planes, so, and other things that utilize space and the sky. Knowledge, awareness as well. The sage will come to him. I've often thought in the past, and I have failed to mention this when he has come out, and again, the sage is not a common visitor to the readings, but I have sometimes thought he perhaps gives off the feeling of energies such as the Pope, so religious leaders around the world. There might be some news about the Pope in July, or some other religious activity that is going on around the planet. But the other thing that the sage really lends itself to is a person who is working out mathematical calculations and the realm of physics. So we may be finding new quantum physics information coming to us, or someone is calculating movements in the sky again, because that's often what those people were associated with back in the day. So he talks to us again about calculations in our sky, about new planet information, or asteroids, or eclipses, or the moon, or Mars, any of those sort of really interesting space technologies or awareness or advances could be quite interesting in this month of July. I've been trying to work on my predictions for 2019, and to date I haven't got very far, but the first part that I started with, and it just jumped up out at me, and this would be about 3.5 months ago, was Mars. And I thought to myself, well, what are you telling me about Mars? And it was just full on. It wouldn't leave my head. It was just constant look into Mars. There's massive information about Mars and massive change about Mars coming. So 2019, before I even go any further, we're learning more and more about Mars, and I think there's going to be some new information and awareness coming about that planet before the end of 2019. We come to the Death card, and I actually think it was in for June, so it's replicated itself here, and when those cards do that, that generally means that they are trying to give off a certain message that they're still very active in what they're doing. So the Death card often means mass deaths, unfortunately, and it can mean at night, or in the dark of night, or undercover or underground. It can also have to do with mountains, activations such as the Hawaii Kilauea volcanic activity, so possibly still more volcano activity erupting in July. It can have to do with tunnels, underground tunnels, so hidden agenda items as well. It can have to do with awakening and awareness at the same time. But unfortunately it is a little bit of a gloomy card, and you can see that from the colour palette that it uses. The moon makes great sense to us, and that's a crab in the water, and we're kind of in the Cancer star zone as well. So it sits in the kind of the middle of the reading. So whether or not this whole Cancer energy is going to be quite profound for the month, more so than usual, and perhaps because of the eclipses. So that card seems to hold quite a lot of weight behind it. It also talks to us about the seas and the oceans. We are becoming far more aware, thank God, finally, about the damage we are creating on the planet and the mess that our oceans are in, and the sea life that we are killing off. So whether or not there's a nice kicking into action on new technology on how to remove plastics or recycle them better, or whether or not there is just a bigger, growing, more global desire to clean up our oceans, because really they're the breathing lungs of the planet, and if we kill the oceans, we kill our planet. There is also the possibility there about animals being involved one way or another. The full moon may have repercussions for weather patterns. Often severe weather can occur around the full moon, also around eclipses. There could be something about the moon itself, new information that comes to light, or something spotted on the moon that's unusual, or activity that is unusual. The sea can also denote action in the sea, such as massive storms that are formed at sea and come onto land, breach sea walls, high tides, king tides, and also the possibility of earthquakes that stem from the sea that have a possibility to create the tsunami-like action. We come to the cave, and I have seen that turn up before when America had some massive storm cells, especially like the Sandy Hook storm cell up that east coast. So there is a possibility that this represents massive storms where people hunker down and go literally underground. But we're also talking here about tunnels again, interestingly enough. And we've talked about underground and tunnels over here, and this is the second time the message has arrived, 2 months in a row. So there is a feeling of being stuck or trapped, or underground tunnels, which can be under volcanoes, right? Definitely, I'm thinking of the lava flow there in Hawaii, but there'll be others too. Japan has had a couple of erupting volcanoes very unexpectedly, as have places like Guatemala and through the Asian islands. We have a lot of active volcanoes on the planet at the moment. So it shows us that planet Earth is going through some sort of galactic change, and we have to look deeper and to find out why this is occurring, to understand the process at a deeper level. But the cave often means about also feeling stuck in situations and feeling trapped and not being able to get out. This could refer to political agenda as well, or also personal feelings of the people on the planet, feeling as if they're stuck in situations and trapped. This could have something to do with the migration issues up in, through and around Europe and the northern part of the planet. It could be things to do with that as well. I think from my perspective that has possibly covered it off, but I really do look forward to all your consultation and ideas and input as well. So everyone, have a safe July, and certainly be intrigued, if nothing else, about the puzzle card, the father card, the sage card, because they indicate the propensity for us to learn and grow and understand more about this amazing world and this amazing life that we actually live. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Be safe, be happy. Much love. Namaste.